Hey Lou, so obviously you guys got dealt kind of a curveball with Mooney going down before the game, but how many different things do you think Arizona kind of threw out there that kind of were molded from that whole thing? Because it felt like in the second half they brought in more guys to protect, and they just kind of started
Yeah.
picking apart, underneath. Did they throw a lot of stuff that you guys had to kind of adjust on the fly?
Well, I think, credit to them, obviously, did a good job. And I think that, I could see them in pregame looking over at our warm-ups who our DBs were out there. I saw Jacoby and the offensive coordinator were looking as we're warming up. So I knew they knew. Certainly, obviously, it was posted as well, but they were watching how we were deploying ourselves, and not that we gave anything away. It's just general stuff in pregame, but they didn't see those guys out there. So, um, I think that veteran quarterback, he's gonna find what he thinks is a good matchup for them, and continue to go after it. So, I'm just pleased the way our guys, at the end of the day, certainly could have done a better job in certain situations, but when it came down to it, fourth and goal at the 7, we end up making the play and we win the game. So that's what matters most.
And Jonathan, it looks like they probably tried to pick on him a little bit, but he was in position a lot from what it looked like. How do you kind of
Yeah.
gauge his performance?
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was in position. I think, he's a guy that's going to only get better with the more opportunities he gets. He's playing corner in the NFL. It's a unforgiving job when, other teams, you're still a young guy and guys are going to, check and see how you're doing and they won't stop throwing over there. That's just how this league is, especially with a veteran quarterback like that. So, we can do things to help him. We'll do more of that, but I'm proud of the way Jonathan handled it. Like you said, he was close in coverage, but you don't get any credit for being close. You got to make the play, and that's where we're gonna, he has to take the next step, and we're gonna help him with it.
James.
I tell you what, I never want to play corner in the NFL. I'll tell you that much. But when you look at just your overall defense performance the last few weeks, what do you look at as like the strengths and maybe things you areas you want to get better at? For example, the points are great. I mean, you all are top five in points
Yeah.
allowed per game, but I would imagine you probably want the yards or underneath stuff to be a little better.
Yeah, of course. I think that's always important. Third down has to improve. We were a little bit sloppy in that last week. Getting off the field, getting red zone stops, those are going to be huge for us as we continue to move forward. And as you mentioned, overall, you don't certainly ever want to give up that many yards. So I thought the run game, we managed that pretty well. We just got to do a better job when the other team becomes one-dimensional in terms of the score or whatever it may be, handling that part of the game.
And then a follow up real quick. How realistic is it to how do you grade yourself when you know you're down guys? And like to Jake's point from earlier, you lost one of your starters an hour before the game starts. Like, how critical are you and how realistic are you with just how things unfold?
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think we all know in today's NFL or any NFL that, distractions are going to happen and they're going to come when you're not expecting them the most. And we had that unfortunate incident in pregame, and maybe a younger me would have got all flustered, and it's just okay. Here we go. This is what we have, and this is what we have to do. And we got to win the game somehow, some way, and that's all that matters. Nobody's going to go back in January and say, well, they won the Arizona game, by this many points. It's a W, and that's what matters most. I think we always, as coaches and players, have to be able to adapt to whatever situation is thrown in front of us. And I think that the more we can do that, the more as a collective group we have that mindset, I think we'll have a chance to be successful no matter what the situation is that's put in front of us.
Time for a few more here, Kent.
Lou, going back to Mooney Ward for a second, whether it was a game against the Rams or this week's game or camp when he was down, that offense just looked different without him on the field. How many different operations defensively does him being down affect?
Well, I just think you're losing a Pro Bowl type player, and anytime you take a guy like that off the field, you're certainly gonna maybe not be as good at that particular position, but it is what it is. So we just have to manage that part of it and be creative from a coaching standpoint to help the guys that are in there, younger, older, it doesn't matter. But Mooney's a elite corner in our league, and when you lose players like that, it certainly it bothers you. It bothers the team, but nobody cares. The other teams don't care, so we have to be prepared and ready to go and move forward with who we have.
Thanks, Lou.
We'll go with Joel, and then Kevin will be our last question.
Lou, what went into Ashton Dulin getting a snap on defense, and what did you like about that?
Yeah, I tell you, he's I think as everybody would agree, if not the best or one of the premier gunners in our league. Certainly does a great job at wide receiver. We had a couple things set up where if Kyler would have played, where we would semi turn it into a gunner rep where we'd flush Kyler one way and here comes Ashton around the edge and all of a sudden it's a punt return for him. So that was our thought process. It's still kind of the one time we eliminated the other calls that were for Kyler, and this was one that we had practiced and thought that would still have a chance for him to come around and potentially make a play. But yeah, he's a great gunner, great tackler, great receiver, smart football player. Why not?
We'll go with Kevin, and then Jake will actually be our last question.
Lou, any other offensive guys now knocking on your door to try and
Uh,
play defense?
Yeah, I think we have Jonathan, Daniel, Tyler. No, no, I think we'll limit it to that. And, it's, they all had a good time with it. I think, we're just trying to use whatever pieces are available. And certainly he was selfless enough to want to do it. And, certainly, we had a chance to maybe make a play there.
And then Quiddy's had kind of a quiet start to the year, but had a big game on Sunday. What did you see from him?
Yeah, I was pleased. Really ran a great game between him and Taekwon Lewis on the one sack, and really had a similar setup for Latu on the last play of the game. If the quarterback would have held the ball one more second there, I think Latu would have had a walk-off, sack to close it out. But yeah, I was proud of Quiddy. Glad the way he responded. Certainly he's his hardest critic, and I was pleased to see him get a couple sacks on Sunday.
Jake, last question.
You guys made a waiver pickup, Reuben Lowery this week. From what he did in college, looks kind of interesting. Is he kind of a classic safety or like box guy, or could he even do like dime linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, you never know with these type guys. We're anxious to get him in the building and take a look and see, what he actually can and can't do. So glad we have him. Glad he's here. Once we get a chance to, get around him a little bit, then we'll kind of finalize and see what kind of role we can develop for him.